Now going to run through the housekeeping, but before I do, can I welcome our new colleague for Warningham, Jackie, and also note the return of Fiona White, who we've missed for a lot. So it's very good to see you back with us. And I understand you're going to bring your expertise to the Planning Committee, which needs all the wisdom it can get, so more than welcome there. So, right, housekeeping. This is the annual general meeting of the Surrey County Council. It's our first meeting of the final council term, Surrey County Council. So, social media. In line with our guidance on the use of social media, I am happy for anyone attending today's meeting, including members of the council, to use social media, provided this does not disturb the business of the meeting. Mobile phones, please turn mobile phones on silent. Webcast. Members, please, may I remind you that the meeting is being webcast live, although I have the right to suspend filming if need arises, and it's open to the public. Microsoft Teams, I would like to mention this meeting allows participation by video conference by Microsoft Teams. Some attendees participating remotely. For those participating remotely, please note that the chat feature is disabled as its use limits the transparency and open discussion we maintain in a public meeting. Microphones. Members will have to indicate that they wish to speak through the chair and then when called, use your microphone to speak. Please remember to turn this on and off after you've spoken. But also, please speak into the microphone, particularly people at the ends of the chamber. If you don't speak into the microphone, we can't hear your words of wisdom. It's a bit problematic. Fire drills. There are no fire drills expected, so in the event of a fire alarm sounding, everyone present is asked to leave by the nearest exit and assemble in the top car park, reporting to a member of the building management team. Staff will be on hand to guide you. Exit. Speaking rules. Those that can, please stand when addressing the chair and council. Speeches will be time limited as usual. With the usual timer lighting system, the clock will appear in the corner of the screen. When a member has 30 seconds remaining, the clock will change to amber. When a member's time is up, the clock will flash red. Voting for the majority of items will be by raising your hands or by verbal assent. I will confirm how voting will be done for each item as we go through the agenda. Conduct. You've all heard this more than once. Please be respectful. Remember the code of conduct. Remember how this appears on the webcasting. It does not look good if you're unpleasant to people. Be honest, but be polite. As you are aware, officers do not have a right to reply in these meetings and therefore are unable to respond to any comments made. In line with the member officer protocol, you should not criticise our officers in public domain. If you have matters you'd like to raise, there are well-established avenues to seek resolution. Members, before we start, you will also be aware of the sad death of Councillor John Rabini on the 1st of May. For those that can, please stand for a minute's silence. Right, thank you. Item 1, election of the chair for the civic year 2026-27. Chief Executive.
Thank you. Claire Curran has nominated Tim Hall, seconded by Catherine Powell. I call Claire Curran to say a few words in support of the nomination.
Thank you and good morning. Members, it gives me great pleasure to propose Tim Hall as Chairman of this Council for our final municipal year of operation. Tim is well known to us all as a long-standing and faithful servant of local government in our county, both at Mole Valley District Council and here at Surrey County Council. He reminded me last night, actually, that he has been a continuous elected member for Fetcham, where he was born and raised, for almost 40 years. He has held executive and civic roles in both authorities and has an unparalleled social and professional network across the length and breadth of Surrey. Tim has already been a loyal and hard-working chairman for the past year. He upholds with pride the values of this council, and I call upon all the members here today to support his nomination as chairman. Thank you.
Catherine Powell, a seconder. Do you wish to add anything?
Thank you. I'm delighted to be able to second Tim Hall to be Chair of Surrey Council in its final year of existence. I first got to know Tim through his work as Chair of the Planning and Regulatory Committee. Site visits were often by minibus, and there was time to get to know other members of the committee and chat with them whilst travelling. Early, he noted I was always going to want reassurance about the protection of established trees and their root protection zones, and would always read beyond the officer's report if I had concerns. I wasn't going to be one of the quiet ones on the report, on the committee, but we quickly established a good working relationship and one of mutual trust. Tim's calm approach to what could often be emotionally charged meetings with strong feelings gave me great confidence that our council would be in good hands when he was elected as chair last year. I believe he has done an excellent job in the last year and has been balanced and fair in his approach to both opposition members and members of the administration. Of course, the role isn't just about chairing council meetings, it's also about being the face of Surrey at council events and other events. I have to say, having met him at several of these, he has excelled there as well, across a wide range of different meetings and audiences. I therefore have no hesitation in seconding Tim as Chair of the Council for 2026-2027, the final year of Surrey County Council. We are in safe hands. Thank you.
Thank you. The motion is that Tim Hall be elected Chair of the Council for the council year 2026-2027. All those in favour of Tim Hall, please indicate your agreement. I then declare Tim Hall to be duly elected as Chair of the Council. Please stand for the Statutory Declaration.
I, Tim Hall, having been elected to the office of Chair of the County Council for the County of Surrey, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Can I say, it is a privilege to do this again. Being chairman is a great opportunity to actually go and find out more about Surrey. You meet the most extraordinary people and you see the most amazing places. And I will confess to you, I have enjoyed it. I have met terrific young people, tremendous volunteers, and some brilliant staff in our organisation. I think if you look at the range of events from the Chairman's announcements, you will see that it is quite interesting as a combination. I was thinking this morning as the rain came down about opening the all-weather footpath in Outwood, where your Fun Surrey team excelled themselves and organised a thunderstorm. Notable there were no officers present as well, which was interesting. So, 50 residents, cagoules, umbrellas, cake and Prosecco. And you could see why Outwood needed an all-weather footpath, as the rest of the village was quietly disappearing under the water around it. Or the opening of the Staines Library Hub. The library service is a great community, and I would recommend anybody who happens to have a spare half hour and is passing Staines just to go into the library and look at the sheer variety of services provided by some tremendous people. Everybody from students doing revision to the museum to the registration service. We have a great county with lots of wonderful people doing great things. I think we should remember to be proud of it occasionally. Now, it's a difficult world. appreciate that all too well. But there are some tremendous people doing tremendous things. My ask of you all is to champion those people in your communities, wherever they are. Each of our communities is different, but they share some common factors. Great volunteers, some brilliant public servants, and people doing good. Please go do good. Champion your communities. Thank you. I call on Terence Herbert, as Chief Executive Returning Officer, to formally report the election of a new County Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I, Terence Herbert, as County Returning Officer, formally report the election of a new County Councillor, Jackie Thompson, for the Worlingham Division at the by-election held on the 7th of May 2026.
Can we welcome you, Jackie? Hopefully, when the email system works, you will discover lots of things are going on, and please, would everybody be as supportive as possible? And can I appeal to the 5 other Tandridge members to rally to Jackie's support, because she's never been a councillor before and has entered the world with slight trepidation, I think it'd be fair to say to you, and would be grateful for any support and connections and understanding of what needs doing. So please, the other Tandridge members could rally, that would be wonderful. Right, item 3, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies have been received from John Beckett, Scott Lewis, Jonathan Hulley, Scott Kelly and Jan Mason. Thank you.
And Matt Furness?
And Matt Furness, apologies, yeah, and Matt Furness.
Are there any other apologies? Because I think there might be 1 or 2. No? Right. Right. Item 4, minutes of the previous council meeting held on the 17th of March. Are they a correct record? Can I sign those? Great. Declarations. Are there any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest, significant personal interests or prejudicial interest that members wish to make at this point? Great. Chair's announcements, item 6. You've seen where we've been recently. Met some tremendous people, various things. They can be found on the order paper. Which brings us to item 7, election of the Vice Chairman. I'm pleased to say that Bob Hughes has nominated Bernie Muir, seconded by Steve McCormack. Can I call upon Bob Hughes to say a few words in support of the nomination?
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations on your re-election. I first encountered Bernie when I was running a vision impaired charity, and one of my staff went to an event at Epsom Library where they were installing a device that would allow blind people to select books and records, etc. And she came back and said, there was this very insistent county councillor there who insists that you ring her. Oh God, I wonder what I'm encountering here. And in fact, what it was is because Bernie had worked in that field herself and certainly had some advice that was very valuable. And one thing I'd say about Bernie is you always know where you are with Bernie. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. And we became friends, and then at the subsequent county council elections, colleagues. And I think we all know on this council that she's a hard-working and zealous county councillor who takes her responsibilities in her division seriously and her work on this council extremely seriously. A rather self-serving text message I sent to Bernie on the day of the last county council elections said something along the lines of, is the council ready for both of us at the same time? It was self-serving, but Bernie, as we know, is a force of nature. And I'm delighted that she's going to be the vice chairman, continue to be the vice chairman of this council for the forthcoming year. And she's a friend and colleague and someone we can work with and trust. I propose the motion.
Thank you. Steve McCormack, just say a few words.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Chairman, it's my privilege to formally second the nomination of Councillor Bernie Muir for the position of Vice Chair of Surrey County Council. Bernie has consistently demonstrated the very best qualities of public service. At the heart of everything she does is a profound commitment to our local communities. Bernie approaches her community work with unmatched energy, empathy and integrity. She understands that the core duty of this council is to serve the people of Surrey. I have no doubt she will serve this council with distinction, grace and fairness as our Vice Chair. I'm happy to second her nomination. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right. The motion is that Bernie Muir be elected as Vice Chairman of the Council for the Council year 26-27. All those in favour, please show. Good. Thank you. That's carried. I then duly declare Bernie Muir to be elected as Vice Chair of the County Council. Right. I ask you all to stand for the Statutory Declaration. The Vice Chairman to make the declaration.
I, Bernie Muir, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of the County Council for the County of Surrey, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. Right. Say anything?
I would like to thank everyone for voting for me to continue in this role. I'd just like to say that over the last year, it's been a huge privilege to travel around the county and see the amount of commitment and community activity that exists within our whole county. Wherever you go, there are people volunteering, participating, making a huge difference. The other thing that this year has introduced to me so significantly is the amount of talent that we have in this county. I've been to art exhibitions, embroidery, music, children's concerts, which have been nothing less than outstanding. I've been to rural activities, which I don't think get the publicity they deserve, that not just make a difference to our environment, but also to those people who are participating, because in many cases, the volunteers are there to help, for instance, with challenges that they have, and they make a real difference, and the volunteers that work with them. I've been to quite a lot because I have a special interest in mental health and neurodiversity, and there are truly amazing activities that are, particularly in the third sector, are so well structured for the individuals concerned. They are economically sound. They are often very quick solutions that have very long-lasting impacts. And the people who work there often are long-established teams who've developed enormous expertise. So for me, it's been a confirmation of some of the things I already knew. I just didn't know the scale of it, and that we really, really do need to support all those people who make a truly real, skilled and long-lasting impact on the residents of Surrey and, in fact, beyond. So I'm very delighted to have one more year to, or not even quite a year, but 10 more months to learn from these people, help them, I hope, and be able to take what I learn onto whatever we all do next. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. Item 8, Leader's Statement. Call on Tim Oliver, Leader of the Council, to make a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to welcome all members back here for this Council's AGM after a busy few weeks and months, and of course to welcome our newly elected member. We've now had the elections and results for the new shadow councils for East Surrey and West Surrey, and I'd like to pay tribute to all those candidates that stood for election and congratulate those that won the right to represent the people of this great county. Election to a local authority is a role of great responsibility and civic duty, and elected members must be, and I am sure will be, genuinely motivated by the same desire to improve the area which they represent and do what they can to make people's lives better. Being elected is a privilege and something that I believe none of us should take for granted. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognise the smooth running of these elections, an even more complex process this year than others, that involve lots of hard work and late nights, lots of emotion and responsibility, but huge credit must go to all the staff across all councils that made that possible. Mr. Chairman, this was democracy in action, and we delivered a clear result and certainty for the people of Surrey as we head into a new world of local government across the county. I look forward to working with the incoming administrations over the coming months to ensure a smooth transition into East Surrey and West Surrey councils in April next year. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say congratulations to all those members in this chamber who were elected to those new councils. Next year, the new unitaries will take on the baton of governing, of delivering critical services and facing the challenges of local government administration. It is not an easy or straightforward task. All 14 councils will need to work collaboratively within their own party and outside it, within the new council structures as they are formed, and with partners. I'm sure all elected members will look forward with energy, optimism and positivity, seeking to work constructively with existing members and officers alike so that we're able to collectively deliver what is the biggest challenge and potential opportunities in a generation. It is important too that we all know our roles and responsibilities in this strange year ahead, and that we are clear and helpful to residents. Services continue to be the responsibility of existing sovereign councils. The county will continue to do things like maintain roads, staff our libraries, support our schools, look after Surrey's children, and provide care to adults with complex care needs. The district and boroughs will continue to make sure bins are collected, planning decisions are taken, parks, open spaces and car parks are properly maintained, amongst other things. Surrey Fire and Rescue will continue to work 24/7 to keep people safe. We remain responsible and indeed accountable for those services people rely on day in, day out, and we will continue to treat that responsibility with the utmost seriousness. This Cabinet remains fully engaged and committed in our duties, and I expect every ward councillor will continue to work hard for their local communities, responding to casework and being a strong voice for their area. I know it will be tricky to manage residents' expectations and inquiries, having just been to the ballot box, but it is important we all stay in our lanes, refer people to the right point of contact and continue to manage casework in the most effective and proper way. And I know that our communications and customer services team will do their bit to make things as clear as possible, but we must all play our part, work together and give consistent information to residents. Mr. Chairman, the other thing I must stress throughout this process is regarding our staff. Their hard work should be recognised, particularly during this period of uncertainty. It is a hugely challenging time for all of us, but embarking on a complex piece of reorganisation, while unsure where their own futures lie, at the same time as preparing the ground and delivering huge structural change, simply adds to the pressure. They continue to work incredibly hard, and we must be careful not to undermine the work of the very staff the new councils will inherit. Let us work responsibly as members and officers to speak the truth, be fair and measured, listen rather than lecture, and demonstrate trust and understanding together. Mr. Chairman, I look forward to working with the new shadow administrations once they are confirmed over the next couple of days. My door is always open, my Cabinet colleagues likewise, and we will work hard with new members to deliver a smooth transition into the councils next year. Alongside that tradition, Mr Chairman, the hard work and delivery of this council continues. In February, we set a balanced budget for the year ahead, and we will stick to that. In fact, as we closed the accounts for 25-26, we delivered a small underspend, whilst building up our reserves, so strengthening the financial foundations for Surrey going into reorganisation and maintaining the responsible, stable financial management that has been the hallmark of this council over the past 8 years or so, which we will hand over to East and West Surrey. Throughout all the challenges local government have faced in recent years, spiralling inflation, increased responsibility, growing demand, less money from government, pandemics and major incidents, this council, Surrey County Council, has increased its financial resilience, set and delivered balanced budgets, invested for the future, and been a sector leader in financial sustainability. And I am proud to hand on that legacy to East and West Surrey. Yes, there will be challenges ahead. There always are in local governments, but the work of this council means Surrey will be well equipped to deal with those challenges head on. There is no doubt that Surrey is the biggest loser from government's fair funding review, stripping money away from this county and redirecting it elsewhere. We will be almost entirely reliant on council tax to deliver the services our residents need, and as costs and demand increase, difficult choices and innovative efficiencies will have to be found. But we should not be misguided into thinking that the financial challenge is caused by reorganisation. In fact, it would be so much worse without it. Unitary councils don't just make sense, they make things work better for less. Now, I know the issue of the Woking debt has been raised time and time again in this chamber and on the doorstep. The debt held by Woking stood at over £2 billion, eye-watering and indeed scary. But action has been taken and is being taken to get that down. Following our lobbying, the government has already committed £500 million of financial support to reduce the debt down to £1.7 billion, with the promise of more tranches of support to come. Slip of the tongue there. Alongside further debt support, the government is providing exceptional financial support for the current financial year, and it is likely that that support will continue into West Surrey to help manage debt interest and repayment levels year on year. Government-appointed commissioners have been in Woking Borough Council now for some years. They are managing the current situation, identifying efficiencies and reducing the overall debt levels. This includes selling a lot of Woking Borough Council's surplus assets, things like buildings and other previous investments that the council currently owns that can bring in money or reduce liabilities. This is set to bring down the current level of debt considerably, and my clear expectation from conversations with government is that they will step in when the final debt level is crystallised. Then there is the division of Surrey County Council's assets between East Surrey and West Surrey, which is being worked through. Both East and West Surrey will be able to make decisions in relation to selling assets or using them to bring in ongoing revenue to help manage the debt level or paying it down. So, Mr Chairman, let's be clear, the Woking debt is being reduced dramatically over the coming months and years, and it will not have to be met directly by West Surrey Council taxpayers through rate increases or reduced services. The rest of the inherited debt from other district and borough councils, as well as the share of the county council debt, is manageable and serviceable for the size of the new unitary councils. I'm confident that by working together in the best interests of our residents, that the transition to the new world of local government will be smooth. And with the right attitude and endeavour, the future of this great county of Surrey is bright. This council will see out its duties with the dedication and expertise we have collectively demonstrated in recent years, right through to vesting day on the 1st of April 2027. Strong foundations, talented workforce, good service delivery, and we will pass on that legacy. Thank you.
All fives.
Good morning, members. I'm sure you'll be pleased to know that I will keep this brief. Can I first offer my congratulations to you, Mr. Chairman? To echo the sentiments of Catherine Powell, I think you have been a robust, reasonable and professional chair in your management of the Council and your arbitration of the Constitution, and I certainly thank you for that personally. I would also like to just take a moment to pay tribute to my colleague, Councillor John Rubini. He has been a member of a foundational pillar of his community for the best part of 40 years, first in Whitley, Milford and then in Hazelmere. There are a number of you in this room that have known him a great deal longer than I have, but I consider him to be a mentor. I considered him to be a friend. When I first became a councillor, he was one of the only people in elected office as a Liberal Democrat at the time anywhere, and he reached out to me straight away to offer his assistance and his help, and he's offered it many more times over the course of the last 10 years. So my condolences to his fantastic wife Jackie, who's also a borough councillor at Waverley, and to his family and friends, and I know a number of us in this room will be joining his family at his funeral in early June. There are a number of things I could say today, many things that I could say today. I do want to take the opportunity to thank all those staff who delivered the election right the way across the county. This was an election where at one point even the absolute timing wasn't certain, the scale of it wasn't certain, the shape of the unitaries themselves weren't necessarily even certain. And those officers have delivered a safe, legal election with an outcome which obviously you can imagine I'm fairly happy with. There are a lot of challenges ahead, and I do want to thank the Leader of the Council for his words. I am quite sure that we can cooperate, the districts, boroughs, the county and the new West Surrey. Certainly I'm sure East will be similar. I don't believe the leader of East can speak in this room, but I'm sure he would pass on the same sentiments. We will obviously be talking about debt and we'll be talking about finances. And I do want to thank particularly the team at Woking Borough Council and the commissioners at Woking Borough Council for the work that they have done, not only in their lobbying for that financial settlement from the government, but the work that they are already undertaking regarding their asset disposals. That is critical to the financial health of West Surrey. I look forward to the negotiations and discussions with East Surrey. I think they're going to be interesting. Speaking to many other unitary leaders across the country, their consensus is that it doesn't come down to waste distribution centres or recycling centres or highways depots. The arguments usually start when it comes to bridges and rail and routes between the two areas, and I'm looking forward to all of those lovely discussions. I also do want to thank the implementation team and the SRO for all of the work that they've done. There will be some conversations, I'm sure, in the next few days about some of the aspects of the implementation plan. My colleagues and I mean at no point any disrespect to any of you for all of the hard work that you have done. There are a number of things that we wish to understand more about, and I would urge you, particularly as there are a number of you here, to reach out to me over the course of the next few days. I want to be able to pass the implementation plan through West Surrey on Thursday. I do not wish to defer it, refer it to Cabinet or any other activities unless I have to. But there are a number of things I and my colleagues will need to understand before Thursday in order for me to get to that point. A number of you I'm seeing today, a number of you have reached out to me over the course of the last 24 hours, and I thank you for that. At that point, I will say thank you on behalf of the Liberal Democrat Group of Surrey County Council and, of course, of the new West Surrey Liberal Democrat Group. A number of you, I'm sure, in the future, we will be working together, I have no doubt. And I think across the districts, boroughs and county council, we have a fantastically capable, qualified, competent, professional staffing corps. And I want to make sure that we all get through this experience, members, officers, staff, everybody across those councils, in as straightforward a way as possible, giving you as much assurance about your professional lives as we go. I will be available to all of you over the course of the next few months, weeks, however long this takes, and it's going to be a difficult process. I looked at how big this council really is when you look at it in the scale of things. The third largest non-metropolitan borough in the UK, and of course all the councils in the UK are bigger than most of their counterparts in Europe by default. A core plank for me will be making sure that West Surrey will still remain as local as possible, despite how massive it is. And I urge members and officers across West Surrey to assist us in that process, because what we don't want to do in this whole process is alienate residents, and that is, I think, the genuine danger in this large centralising process, is that we forget at the end of the day that we're here for residents. I'll leave it there because I think we've all had a very long few weeks and I think we're all quite tired, members and officers alike. So, Mr Chairman, my congratulations again and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Townsend, for the side effects. Right. Catherine Powell.
Thank you, Chair. Our last Surrey County Council meeting, many of us are battered by what has been an election campaign sadly tarnished by the politics of fear and division, promises that cannot be delivered and slogans rather than realities. Very sadly, the immediate legacy is increased racial tensions and intimidation directed at some of the most vulnerable and some elected representatives, including me. This isn't the community I want. I believe we should do the right thing, not the easy thing. Give a voice to those who do not have a voice or who will not speak out. Be true to ourselves, never compromise our morals. I will continue to work as I have, fight as I have, analyse as I have, identify issues and potential solutions, and I know my group will too. As the Chair said, we need to do good and encourage others to do good. The leader talks of a smooth transition and a bright future. The leader of the opposition's group talks of a fresh start. The councillors and officers across the existing 12 councils in Surrey and the 2 new ones to be formed face enormous challenges between now and the 1st of April. We must continue to improve business as usual. There are still significant areas where we are not efficient, effective or delivering for residents. Send. Communication and document management is still not good enough. Portals for parents, carers and schools still not operational. Plans for those who do not have school places are still driven by easy short-term solutions for the service rather than the right answers for children and their families. I also remain concerned about the provision of services to schools currently provided by the Schools Alliance for Excellence, SAFE, on behalf of Surrey County Council. The contract runs out in August, just 3 months to run. Still no confirmed option. First is to bring the services in-house. To me, that brings significant risk during LGR and a programme of significant government change. Second option, a short extension and a proper procurement process, a fighting chance of setting East and West Surrey up to succeed. I believe it is urgent that we have a meeting with the key people around the table to discuss what truly is the right way forward for the children and young people of Surrey. Another issue that affects business as usual, referred to by the leader, is the financial challenges of the Fair Funding Review. These are simply not understood by residents. We must communicate better and quickly. Funding social care from council tax, the least fair tax of all, is simply wrong. Those who can afford it least will be hit hardest, particularly in the West, where there are also the debt issues that need to be addressed and the real likelihood of services being reduced in a bid to balance the books. All the talk about debt being resolved before the new unitaries are established now feels very hollow. 500 million is a drop in the ocean. The split between East and West Surrey still is massively unbalanced in terms of debt, need, infrastructure required to support that need and the ability to raise council tax. We've all said we need to pull together, but it's important to recognise that East Surrey being set up to succeed is not just important for West Surrey, it's important for East Surrey and for this government. The financial projections make for depressing reading no matter where you live in Surrey. If you are in West, the stark realities are now all too plain to see. We simply must pull together, work together in this last year, be open and honest about the areas of weakness, look for opportunities to address and improve outcomes for residents and businesses, getting it right first time, all the time. Many of our staff are working incredibly hard in very difficult circumstances, but I remain concerned that the tools, the systems and the procedures are just not good enough, particularly for our frontline staff. I want to finish by acknowledging the amazing work of our voluntary charity, faith and enterprise organisations. They continue to be challenged to do more with less as demand and complexity of demand increases along with the cost, just at the same time as funding is more difficult to find. They will have a critical role to play during and after LGR. I implore everyone in this room, much as the Chair did, to make sure their voices are heard and they are supported. Small steps like getting the leases extended for those who provide youth services out of Surrey buildings is one, but there are many more required. As the programme team focuses on transfer, we must all pull together, scrutinise delivery versus vision, focus on residents, businesses and partners. Transformation and improvement cannot be put on hold, nor can backlogs be allowed to grow. I believe if we pull together, work together, we can, as the Chair said, do good and we will do more good. And I hope we do, sincerely hope, that we all pull together. Thank you, Chair.
Andy Lynch.
Thank you, Chair, and I'd like to add my congratulations to you being elected as Chair and to Bernie to being the Vice Chair again. Chair, this is an important moment for Surrey. The county's just completed its first elections for the two new unitary authorities that will replace this council and 11 borough and district councils from April 2027. This is the most significant change to local government in Surrey in 50 years, and it deserves to be marked properly. I want to begin by congratulating every candidate who stood, from all parties and none. Standing for public office is not nothing. It takes time, effort and a willingness to put yourself forward and be judged by your community. And whatever the result, that deserves respect. I offer my particular congratulations to Councillor Steve Watton and Councillor Paul Fellows, who have been chosen to lead East Surrey and West Surrey councils, respectively, and into this transition. They take on genuinely demanding responsibility, moving to major public institutions, essentially from the ground up, while simultaneously preparing for a transfer of services, staff and significant liabilities from 12 existing councils. I wish them well in that task, and I mean that sincerely. I want to take a moment to welcome our new colleague, Councillor Jackie Thompson, elected to represent the residents of Warningham on this council. Her election brings the Reform UK group here to Surrey County Council to 3 members. I look forward to working alongside her as we continue to serve our residents through this transition period. I am pleased that Reform UK has also secured representation on both the new unitary authorities, 5 councillors elected in East Surrey and 9 in West Surrey. I believe that a range of voices in all chambers produces better outcomes for residents, and I hope our colleagues on all benches in the new authority will take the same view. What residents will ask of us in this council and the new shadow authorities and unitaries is that we do not use restructuring as a reason to look away from these problems or to reset expectations without changing outcomes. They ask that we go in with clear eyes, ask hard questions of the data we inherit and hold ourselves and our administrations to account throughout the process. This is a responsibility that falls on all of us, regardless of party, and it is one that I am committed to fulfilling through this council's remaining time, through the work of our elected colleagues in the new authorities. Chairman, Surrey is entering a new chapter. I hope it's one that delivers genuine improvements for the residents who will ultimately be judged whether the reorganisation was worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I, very tactfully, because I can see the shudder from the far side of the, to point out that the leader of the major opposition group is follows, not fellows.
Sorry, my mistake.
All right. I can feel the shudder from here. So, right, Jonathan Essex.
Thank you and congratulations on your Vice Chair re-election to your post this year. This last year of Surrey County Council will require even more of a collaborative approach, not just between the County Council and the district and boroughs, but with the 2 new Lib Dem-led authorities to make sure the transition is smooth. Leader, can you confirm that we will share the data on how we are to implement the government's SEND reforms requiring higher SEND provision of all of our existing schools, as well as the new places we need too to the new unitaries that we have recruited the 2 extra road safety officers agreed in the budget to continue road safety improvements into these new unitaries, and that we will collaborate actively in the next month or so to finalise and agree new climate change strategies for the next 5 years to be taken forward by the unitaries. Just 3 of the many areas needing close collaboration between this council's leadership and the leadership of the 2 new unitaries. We look forward to playing our part in strengthening the spirit of collaboration between the existing Conservative and the new Lib Dem leaderships. At 6 p.m. last Tuesday, Redhill residents called the police to let them know that at that very time flags were being erected and called for the police to take immediate action. That opportunity has now passed us by. Since then, residents have been emailing, mostly to ask the council to take the flags down. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of our flag, not least in sporting events such as the success of the England's football team, and are proud to support our local installation of Millie Bright as the first honorary free woman of Reigate and Banstead. But the strength of feeling shown in emails highlights that just as a flag can unite, used inappropriately, it can divide and leave some feeling intimidated and threatened. The appearance of flags on Surrey Council's street lamps in Redhill follows persistence of flags on lamp posts elsewhere, which you leader agreed back in February should be removed, but despite exact locations being reported months ago, these flags have been not removed by the council, and the council's lack of action has led to matters becoming worse and Surrey becoming less welcome to all, which surely is central to our vision for 2030 to leave no one behind. Leader, we've seen prompt action by Surrey when advertising is illegally put up, just like these flags have been. Can Surrey County Council please now follow the lead of Medway and Oxfordshire County Councils in taking prompt action to immediately remove flags under delegated authority? Can we please take back control of our streetlights here in Surrey too? Thank you.
Councillor Robin Evans, OB.
Thank you very much, Chair. Can I first of all pay tribute to Lance Bombardier Kyra Sullivan of the Royal Horse Artillery, who died in an accident last week and had been based at Purbright in Surrey. And our thoughts, I'm sure, of everyone here are with her friends and family in these difficult times. Can I congratulate you, Chair and Vice Chair, on your re-election for the final year of Surrey County Council, and congratulate, as is customary, the leader for his calm, assured and inspiring speech this morning, which will set us all in good faith and good spirit for the final year of the Council. The 133rd AGM of Surrey County Council, which was the first, would have been under the reign of Queen Victoria, and today's under the reign of her great, hope I've got the right number of greats, grandson, Charles III. Much has been made of the elections to the new shadow authorities, and I congratulate all the candidates who stood, and especially those who were elected, and I thank all the officers who conducted the elections and the counts that took place across the county. I also congratulate Reform UK on getting the highest number of councillors across the country and more members in Surrey, and I very much hope you are able to live up to many of the claims and aspirations that you've made. As I say, they scored the highest number of councillors across the country. Labour scored the second highest number of councillors, just not in Surrey. But that doesn't mean to say that my colleagues and I will not continue to campaign representing the people, the grassroots at all level, and we will continue to campaign against the politics of division that Catherine Powell spoke to a moment ago, which was very evident in some parts of these recent elections, certainly in my division, and I know it was in others. I hope we'll also campaign against the politics of meaningless bar charts and graphs and nonsensical leaflets that go around. Leaflets that describe somebody as the only sensible candidate to vote for. And I noticed in the Conservative leaflet that says that the Surrey Conservatives are pledged to resurface all the roads that need it. Well, Surrey Conservatives don't have to do that now, do they? Because they have passed that challenge on to somebody else. So I also hope very much, and nobody has mentioned it, but the two new authorities, I feel very strongly that one of them, the West one, should be called West Surrey and South Middlesex. I know I was the first person to propose this back under the previous Conservative government when they first proposed reorganisation in 2019. And I'm very proud to say, I have a modest bit of success in that this was the first time that my division, which had previously been called Stanwell and Stanwell Moor, was fought under its name now of Stanwell Moor and North Ashford, which I proposed to the Electoral Commission and was accepted. So if I were to die tomorrow, that would be something that they could put on my gravestone, wouldn't it? That's enough. I'll stop there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
I'm going to miss his speech.
We will miss you speaking. Yes, that's highly appropriate, and there's something else which will turn up in a minute, which will be slightly amused by, I fear. Right, we now open the debate to other members. Add to the varied things. Oh, George Potter.
I'll be brief. I simply wish to note that the Council Leader mentioned the topic of debt from Woking, and that the debt, and here to suggest that the debt for West Surrey is going to be nothing to worry about. I will point out that notwithstanding the exceptional financial support announced for Woking, the West Surrey Joint Committee papers make it quite clear that the net debt currently set to be inherited by West Surrey is 3.8 billion, not gross debt, net debt after taking into account assets. It also, the same report produced by this Council's officers for the West Surrey Joint Committee, also notes that the cost of servicing that debt will be 40% of the West Surrey Council's revenue budget. Now, obviously, these are indicative figures and are subject to change, and indeed, we all hope they will change and will come down over next year. But I do not think the Council Leader's blasé approach to the debt is particularly worthy of residents who we're all meant to be serving. This is a serious issue and merits a serious response, not trivialising and hand-waving away. And I would also suggest that, that if the leader is only thinking about the debt in terms of Woking and these blithe assurances that it's going to come down, I would suggest he read those West Surrey Joint Committee papers, because they very clearly spell out that the issue of debt is far wider in scope than merely Woking, and the consequences of that debt are far more severe than can be dealt with simply by exceptional financial support for Woking. Even if the debt servicing costs were to be reduced from 40% of the revenue budget to merely 20%, that would still be painfully and damagingly high. If a household were spending 20% of its income servicing its credit card debt, I think we would all say that is a worrying level of servicing costs. So please, let's not have this blasé attitude about the debt. It is serious, and it does us all a disservice to pretend otherwise. Thank you.
I can see no other speakers, so I'm going to call the leader to respond.
Thank you, Chair. You'll be pleased to know that as this is the annual general meeting of the Council, I don't intend to provide a detailed response to any of the points that have been raised, valid points raised by Councillor Powell and Councillor Essex, and I will deal with those offline with you after this meeting. All I would say is that we all know that the success of the new unitaries from day one does depend entirely upon all 14 councils working together to support our residents, to improve their lives and their livelihoods wherever possible. And I'm very pleased to hear the collaborative words from many of those that have spoken, and I'm sure that we will take that forward in the way that is intended going forward. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Right. Item 9, the annual review of political proportionality, is on pages 5 to 8 of the supplementary agenda. Can I point out, as the leader of the Labour Group hasn't mentioned it, that Oh, you have pointed out. That's good. So that's where it came from. That there is a typo on page 6 with the heading of the columns, and that the Reform Group does not have 2 sets of allocations. It's only got 1, and that the second set is the Labour Group's allocation. I think it's an accident, but we'll see. So, can I therefore draw everybody's attention to the report? Can we, unless anybody's got anything else which they've discovered, please do say now. Can we agree this with the alteration to Table 6's headline, because that's obviously wrong. Is that agreed? Can we agree? Thank you. Item 10, appointment of committees, pages 9 to 16, for the nomination. Can I therefore, if anybody's got anything particularly exciting to say, move the recommendation, page 16, to appoint members to serve on the committees of the Council for the Council year 26-27 in accordance with the wishes of the political groups, to authorise the Chief Executive to make changes to membership of any of the Council's committees as necessary during the Council year in accordance with the wishes of political groups, to appoint the Council representatives to the Surrey Police and Crime Panel for the Council year, and this is representatives, not representative, which is quite nice, to appoint 2 members to the Buckinghamshire and Surrey County Council Joint Trading Standards Service Committee, one of which must be a Cabinet member, the other is in a non-voting advisory realm, and to note the appointment of the leaders' appointments to the Council Executive Committee. Have we agreed? Thank you. Item 11, election of committee chairman and vice chairman, pages 17 and 18, and supplementary agenda. Have we agreed on the recommendations on page 17? The members listed duly elected as chairman and vice chairman, respectively. Select committees and regulatory committees, 26-27. Have agreed? Good. Right. Item 12. So it gets a little more exciting. Members' questions. So, we will start with question 1 from Rebecca Paul. Do you have a supplementary?
I do have a supplementary. Thank you, Chair, and I thank the leader for his response. The Chief Executive told me nearly a year ago over the phone that the report was close to final. I'd hope that the leader would agree with me that for an independent review to be truly independent, it requires the reviewer to not come under pressure on its contents and its findings. So my question is, are the delays to the release of the report the result of past and or present senior officers taking issue with the content?
Wait, Councillor Quinton, do you want to ask anything at this point?
I have a question later on.
Yes, I thought I will. Right.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, I have given as full an answer as I can, both to Councillor Paul and Councillor Kington. This is a report commissioned by the Chief Executive from an independent individual, and it is her report and it is her process that is being followed. It is, I understand, appropriate for a draft of her report to be shared with those individuals that could be identified within the report, and that is the process that is still underway. There are some delays, I understand, from those individuals coming back with any comments or suggestions, but at the end of the day, it is with the independent author, and I'm afraid there is nothing that I can do as the leader of the council, and I don't think there's actually much the Chief Executive can do to accelerate that process, sadly. So we're all agreed that the sooner this report is published, the better, and we'll continue to encourage the independent author to do whatever she needs to do to finish that process and to sign it off.
Thank you. Question 2, Catherine Powell. Do you have a supplementary?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for her response. I am disappointed, as I'm sure many parents, carers, schools and settings are. There's been another delay in rolling out the shared inboxes, but I am relieved it will be done on the 1st of June. Please can the Cabinet Member advise when the area boxes will be changed to cover the agreed east-west split, as I believe that the North East still includes Spelthorne, and this will be one of the highest areas of need and therefore represent the highest transition risk. Thank you, Chair.
Helen Clark.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Can I also offer my congratulations to you for your re-election to the Chair of the Council? I can't give you an answer off the back of that question, Councillor Powell, but I'm sure that we can advise outside of this meeting something that we can help you with. Thank you.
Right. Question 3, Louise Morales. Now is probably a good point to say that Steve Bax is covering for Matt Furness, and so please be nice to him.
Thank you. And thank you for Steve Bax for doing a very admirable response. I asked about new LC whip paths, and I see that the smallest one on the list is 1.1 kilometre. There is some evidence from the Foundation for Integrated Transport that actually 100 metres of additional paths can massively improve people's walking if it joins a local school to the nearest shops or something, rather than having to drive a mile in a different direction. And so I had a supplementary question, and I'm quite happy to have it by email, as are there any new paths that are less than a kilometre that have been improved as LC WIP? And I am really, really looking forward to the funding and the proposals put forward to Woking being implemented, because I'm hoping that we might get some very short little paths that will make a difference to children walking to school. Thank you.
Jonathan Essex.
Thank you. May I just add to the request for a written response, please, to share the planned delivery dates for the schemes that have had stage 2 feasibility design work done, and the reasons why it's taken so long to progress some of these schemes to date, and indeed the indicative dates for the delivery of those which are still at the concept design stage, please.
Can I add to that as well as say from the Chair that it would be nice for it to share that with everybody, because our experience of the Mole Valley position is that the schemes we've got at the moment would be in primary school. Have taken that long and are still no nearer to being tarmac than anything else. So, Steve.
Thank you, Chair. I must admit, when I was asked if I could step in for Matt, I thought, oh, I should be okay. There's a couple of questions, but then, of course, when I looked at it, we have something like 6 questions, so I suspect I'm going to be earning my call a bit today. Just to say, yes, I do appreciate that the LC WIP process is rather lengthy. I certainly remember my first meetings on that were some years ago, and we've certainly created a lot of work here for consultants to keep them very busy. But the LC WIP is paid for by external grants, is by understanding, and so therefore I do welcome any investment into this county, and it's all for the good. But it does seem to me it's rather open-ended about when we might deliver anything, so I will do my best to try to find out roughly the time frame of when we might start seeing schemes coming to fruition in all of our areas. So please do write to me if there's anything in particular that you would like me to find out about. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 4, Stephen Corbett.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the Cabinet Member for the response. No supplemental. Thank you.
Oh, Ashley Tilling.
Yes, thank you, Chair. In acknowledging my email on this subject last week, for which I thank you, the portfolio holder, Helen, acknowledged the serious time pressure on making a decision on the future of Woodstock House. Now, I understand that keeping it open hinges on whether SCC is prepared to commit to filling places there from September this year. If agreed, then it seems that we could either move ahead with Kingswood House or Hinchley Wood Learning Partnership taking on the running of Woodstock House. Could she provide reassurance that every effort is being made to keep this valuable facility open by making a timely decision? Thank you.
Helen.
Thank you very much for the supplementary question. I don't want to go and take too much time over this response in this particular venue, but I mean, I can assure you that we are doing everything that we can, or the service is doing everything it can, to support the continuation of this school. However, it's not down to the County Council, it's down to the school and the interested parties who are looking into taking it on. But it is obviously for the best benefit for the children that we have our most concern, that we are so concerned. There's over 60 children attending Woodstock School with special educational needs. A great deal of funding is involved in that, and it is our intention to do our very best to keep them if a solution can be found, or to make sure that they have an alternative provision should that be necessary. That is our responsibility and duty as a council. But as I've said in my response, which I think is quite full and detailed, ongoing work is happening for interested parties, and I know that my officers are very much enthusiastic to support those discussions. The next step will be to see whether we get a proposal from either of the two likely possible partners. Thank you very much, Chris. And then we can examine what their proposals are and whether that will comply with the standards that's required. I'm quite happy to keep you updated, as I have with Councillor McCormack going forward, and make sure that we keep you as things go forward. But yes is the answer, but it's not our choice, it's the choice of the partners involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
Question 6 is Jonathan Essex.
Thanks. I'll leave Bickington to his question, no problem. Thanks. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member whose response to the leader's commitment earlier in this meeting to deal with this issue outside of the meeting, and confirm the request really is that the flags are treated with the same level of promptness as any other attachment to street furniture without licence, and that we might now get on and remove the existing unauthorised flags with that level of urgency this week, please.
Thank you, Councillor Essex. Yes, I mean, my understanding is that the flags in your area were removed. I can't speak to the... You sure? Okay. Okay. So my information was they were removed but then reinstalled, which that may be by members of the public, maybe by the council. We can look at that. But I think that sort of speaks to the problem in the sense that it's not entirely in our own hands. I think back to my own area, I have Hampton Court Bridge, and at one point last summer it was full of flags. I must say, because it's such a popular tourist destination, it didn't look entirely out of keeping, but then again I did have people writing to me quite apoplectic saying we must remove them. I had other people saying don't you dare move them, we want them to be present. So there is a differing of views out there, and I feel that the policy that we have here is proportionate. It's the right way forward. We recognise that there is pride in the flag and that it represents us, but we also know that there are some concerns about flags being displayed for political purposes, and therefore our policy is that nobody is allowed to place unauthorised items on Surrey lampposts, and if things are put up without permission, there is a process for applying, but otherwise they will be removed in due course. I do recognise, though, that it's quite open-ended about how long that process is, and that is something that perhaps we can look at so that we can bring in some uniformity around it. But we do also need to recognise that when we take things down, it doesn't mean they stay down, they can be reattached. Thanks.
Thank you. Right, now try again. Question 6, Eva Kington.
Unfortunately, Councillor Oliver misses the point of my question.
The Executive does not share available information unless members ask for it, and even then it often takes several requests for that information to be provided, as was the case with terms of reference and the name of the reviewer. The Sun newspaper report contains more information about the case that has not been shared with members. Will the Council Officer therefore reassure this Council that given that reluctance to release any information, the full report and its conclusions will not be issued in March 2027, just before the Council ceases to exist, but in time for a full Council meeting where all members can publicly review and comment on the findings?
Right, Leah. Oh. Rebecca.
Thank you, Chair. Just following on from the answer to my question, which is obviously linked to this question. So the leader mentioned that some of the delay to the report is because certain people are being given the opportunity to feed in and review the content of that report. Now, I was interviewed and gave evidence to the independent author as part of this process. Yet, no, I have not been sent the report, and I have not been given the opportunity to check that the facts associated with which I have provided are accurate. So can I ask why I have been treated differently?
I don't know the answer to that question from Councillor Paul. I think we will take that away with the monitoring officer and understand what the process is. I'm afraid I only have very limited knowledge of what is actually happening. But yeah, we'll find out whether the independent author is intending to interview or to go back to all those people that are either given evidence or, but more particularly, where they have where they can be identified as having expressed a view. And to Councillor Kington, this report will be published when the independent author signs it off.
Monitoring officer.
Thank you, Chair. So, Councillor Paul, this is not the, as you've been advised on numerous occasions, this report belongs to the independent reviewer. It is their decision as to who they wish to contact. The Council cannot get involved in that process. If you have any concerns with regards to that, you're more than welcome to contact me direct and we can have a conversation about that process. But this report belongs to the independent reviewer. So, and this is not the correct forum to raise those concerns if they haven't contacted you personally.
Chair, can I just say, given the fact that everything comes down to the reviewer, can I ask that the monitoring officer advises the reviewer that this council will cease to exist in March, and that actually we have a right to say that this has to be concluded in time for us to deal with it? Thank you very much.
I think the monitoring officer says it's noted, and I think that's very sensible. Right. Something rather more mundane, but much more practical. Question 7, Robert.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for response on the question of the disposal of the assets when Surrey County Council ceases to exist. In the reply, it says that these assets will be distributed primarily based on geographical location. I understand the principle of that, but if when all the analysis have done of the assets, it is seen to be disproportionate to west or east, how will any form of levelling up be based? And in the final point, the Cabinet Member refers to disposal by the existing authorities will be subject to Section 24 restrictions. I wonder if she could outline today what the Section 24 restrictions are.
Liz Townsend.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I had to wave frantically a bit there. Can I just ask as well, you know, within the Voluntary Joint Committee for West Surrey, of which I'm a member, we have raised this several times. There has been no agreement for the assets to just be split geographically. In fact, we don't even have a list of the assets yet. So I think it needs to be made very, very clear. We have asked for the implementation plan to be changed several times to make it clear that no split on geographical grounds has actually been agreed. What has been agreed is the principle that assets need to be split, and that is all. So I would ask the Cabinet Member to confirm that this is actually a decision for East and West Surrey and not for this Council. Thank you.
Natalie Brown, well, yes, I'll let you.
Thank you, and thank you for the two supplementary questions. So, in regards to the list of assets, I haven't seen a list either. So that might surprise you, but I'm afraid that some councils have not come across with all of the information. I understand it is now available, but going through it will take some time. It includes strips of land, highways land, small pieces of, surplus garden land. It's huge. In regard to the split on geographical grounds, I don't think that is going to be my decision to take, quite frankly. I think it's going to be above my pay grade. And Section 24, what that actually means is, I think it's now coming in July, beginning of July. Is it the 3rd of July, I think? What that actually means is that no council, no sovereign body can dispose of any of their assets without agreement with I don't know, to be honest, leader.
I think the leader should definitely tackle this. Yes, it's definitely a.
Set out in the structural change order, there are certainly limits in terms of disposal of assets and also contracts, long-term contracts you can or can't enter into. So, it's well known across all of the joint committees and so on. But I think, just to add to Councillor Bramall's point, I think it is clearly for the new unitary authorities to determine the split of assets, but that is going to be almost certainly a bone of contention. So there will have to be some sort of mediation or arbitration. And we're not just talking about the county council's assets, obviously. I think the working assumption, and perhaps where the language is a bit loose, is that the district and borough assets that sit in the geography of East and West Surrey will remain there. It is the county assets that will be divided. And there clearly is a discretion within that division in terms of where those assets go, and not just the physical buildings, but also the other assets of the county council. So it is work in progress, but no decision has been made, and it isn't ultimately a decision for this council, as Councillor Townsend has rightly pointed out.
Can I, as this is probably going to reappear, say, having been the corporate cabinet member for property some years ago, tell you that it is much more messy than anybody would give credit. You would be amazed to discover the number of bits of land, one came up at Fetcham last night, which should be within a council's purview on ownership, but don't seem to have been registered. And also, going back a little while, when we rebuilt Guildford Fire Station, we discovered that Guildford Council still have the deeds to the land for our fire station. It is going to take a lot of serious work, and I would suggest everybody brace themselves for the discovery of all sorts of interesting things. Last night we discovered that the Cock Lane stream next to the recreation ground, Mole Valley is denying all knowledge of, which despite the fact they've always cut the grass and cleared the stream. What the district councillor said, I'll leave to your imagination. But it is a more complicated thing than people give credit, and everybody needs to be very calm and very chilled, because it's going to take a lot of work. And it may well take rather longer than the next 316 days to sort out bits of it, I'm afraid. Anyway, good luck. Right. Question 8, Catherine Powell.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for her response. I think the risk still remains and the concern still remains that if drivers are on 0 hours contracts, does the contract between Surrey County Council and the contractor ensure they are paid if the contractor is paid? And I would like some reassurance that the terms that we have in place ensure that, because the feedback from residents is frankly that the drivers aren't getting paid even when Surrey is paying the contractor, and that is having a knock-on effect on how that service is provided to children and young people in Surrey. Thank you, Chair.
Sarge.
Thank you. Just following on from that, when there is a breach, the driver has been penalised by Surrey, not the operator. And I think it's a bit unfair. Just following on from Catherine, I think accountability should be there. That if the operator is being paid, then we should pay the driver as well. Thank you.
That sounds very sensible. Helen.
So, I just wanted to say, actually, we've still got drain covers in my division that say Dorking and Hawley Rural District Council, so I'm not quite sure who owns those. It's not me. Okay. Anyway, back to the question. Sorry, I was slightly distracted by that overall enormous question of who owns what. So this was a very interesting case where we had a person came forward anonymously to say that they were concerned about whether or not the drivers were being paid for non-collection of a child going to school. And it was quite difficult to do any particular research into this because it was anonymous. But I can understand exactly what both Councillor Sarge is saying and Councillor Powell is saying. If the contractor is paid, then surely their responsibility is to pay the driver. And our responsibility is to make sure that our contracts with those organisations that are providing transport comply with the standards that we expect and have written into that procurement process. It's difficult to know without data and evidence whether that is actually right, but we would expect that to happen. If you have more examples of that not happening, in other words, you know that the contractor has been paid, the operator is paid, but not the driver, then that seems very unfair indeed. And I would like to know more about that. My answer clearly says that if a driver turns up and then is told that they're not needed that day, then they should be paid for that journey in the morning, perhaps not for the afternoon because it wasn't a return visit. If they're given notice in advance that they're not required, obviously then they should not be paid and they shouldn't be turned up. But we pay the contractors, and the contractors have an obligation to support their drivers under their own terms of contract. And it would be very concerning, I think, if we felt that that wasn't happening. So if you have concrete evidence of that, we haven't got that, we would be able to look into it. I hope that's satisfying. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 9, Stephen Cormack.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to a Cabinet Member for the reply. No supplemental.
Question 10, Jonathan. Oh. Catherine Powell, then Joe Sexton.
I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for his response and for the information on crews that are working on the stormwater drainage system. Please can the Cabinet Member advise what process has been made is in place to ensure that all stormwater culverts are captured on the Surrey GIS maps before LGR to ensure the complete asset transfer information is available, and which of the drainage queues is responsible for checking the condition of culverts and the associated frequency? Thank you, Chair.
He'll have to give you a written answer for that. Joe Sexton.
Thank you, Chair. I thank the Cabinet Member for his response and for advising the number of jammed lids that will replace and unjammed between the 1st of April last year and the end of March this year. Please can he advise what the backlog that was carried over into this financial year by district and borough, and what action is he going to take to ensure that lids that are recorded as jammed now and are added over the summer months are unjammed and the gullies cleared before winter? Thank you, Chair.
Steve.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, colleagues, for those questions. I'll start with Councillor Powell. I understand there are about 160,000 of these gullies that we could potentially check. We feel that we've got most of them captured, but that's not to say that they're all on there. I regret to inform that there are no plans to scale the network, as it were, to look for them. I think that would be a huge task, and really sort of where do we start? But as I say, known culverts are recorded on the GIS system, and we feel that recording of them has also improved significantly over the years. And just to say that if there are concerns in any divisions, please do feel free to raise them with myself or with Matt, and we can look at what attention we can give. And on Councillor Sexton's point about the jammed lids, I've done a bit of looking into this, and I can report that so we've got 1,501 backlog of broken lids. I do actually have a table of where they are, so if members are interested in that, they can message me. So there's a big number of jams there. It could include things like parked cars being part of the problem. But just to say, really, we always said that it would be a 5-year plan to address this. We're 3 years into it at the moment, so there's still a way to go, but we're making progress. Thanks.
Can I suggest it would be good if you could circulate that information, because it would help, because there are problems in various places, including my division. So I think that would be gratefully received. Thank you. Right, gosh, the next one is you as well, John from Essex.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for his reply, which notes that potholes form mainly in the winter months. However, many of the underlying defects start to grow before the pothole season starts. In writing, might it be possible to review if more might be done to fix some of these road defects, not just resurface whole roads, before the start of the wet season, the winter season, and whether there is a precedent for taking such a more preventative approach from other councils? Thank you.
Yes, I definitely think there's something in that. As we know, prevention is better than cure. So I think we are making efforts to resurface roads, and that is leading to a reduction in potholes. But we're also seeing that at the winter time now, that it's typically much wetter than it used to be, and the wet and the cold are producing ever more potholes. So prevention needs to be our focus going forward within the scope of our resources. Thanks.
Joe Sexton, sorry.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair, and I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member. I'm concerned that there appears to be a separation between the time to inspect a pothole that has been reported, when then triggers the job being sent to the contractor, and then a different clock starts for the contractor to repair the pothole. As you would appreciate from a resident's and member's perspective, we are really only interested in how long it took in total from the report being made to the pothole being repaired. Can the Cabinet Member commit to providing data to the next Communities, Environment and Highways Select Committee of the total average and maximum time taken to repair P1, P2 and P3 potholes between the 1st of January 2026 and the 12th of May 2026, split by Ds and Bs? Thank you.
Edward Hawkins.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to put in a plea on behalf of myself and maybe Councillor Hogg as well, for one area of our road, that the potholes have now developed, I think, what we're calling pothole creep, to such an extent that the entire road surface is disappearing, and it's Ravenswood roundabout, so maybe Councillor Bax would be kind enough to pick this up. We will spend the next 11 months and how many days and minutes, etc., continually complaining about that stretch of road, which is now exceedingly dangerous. Thank you, Chairman.
Steve.
Yes, we will do our best to provide that data to Select Committee.
Thank you.
Right. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
That's fine. Right. Question 11. Robert Evans.
My generosity to Councillor Bax is such that there's no follow-up.
That's really good. Right. Question 12. Catherine Powell.
Making me feel
bad now, Robert, because I wasn't going to share that same generosity. I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for his response. In July 2023, this Council unanimously passed my motion regarding proactive maintenance of vegetation impacting walking routes and cycling routes outside the school centre, particularly associated with schools, hospitals, leisure centres. Whilst the roadside rangers have been introduced, these are entirely reactive. Please can the Cabinet member advise what progress has been made to proactively maintain these routes? Thank you, Chair.
Steve.
Thank you. I'm afraid this does, as always, come down to the resources and the funding that we have into this area. Obviously, we've put quite a bit of money in, and the creation of the Rangers is evident of our investment there. They will need to continue to operate mainly on a reactive basis, but there may be some scope to tweak that around known issues that we know are going to crop up from year to year. And again, I think I would look to members to get in touch with Matt or myself to let us know of any particular problems that you feel need to have Rangers' attention, and we can try and make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Question 13, Jonathan. Essex.
I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for his reply and await the more detailed response in due course. Thank you.
Okay. Question 14, Catherine Powell.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for her response and would welcome the opportunity to discuss this in more detail. One supplementary I would like to ask here is regarding the Autism Friendly Schools acceleration. The response confirms the uneven distribution of rollout of these county-wide schemes, given there is significantly higher rollout in the east where the need is lower. 36% of infant and junior school places in Elmbridge are covered by PINs versus 14 and 15 in Runnymede and Guildford respectively. Can the Cabinet member provide some reassurance that the east-west inequalities will be addressed during 26-27 and that all larger towns will have some coverage? I'm also concerned that response indicates the combined review of sufficiency for Sendon AP and mainstream schools will be included in the papers for the Select Committee on the 10th of June. However, the draft papers I have seen do not cover mainstream. Can the Cabinet member please commit to reviewing this with the service? Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Chris Townsend and Andy MacLeod.
Thank you, Chairman. Given that CARES Cares has only recently been established, the CIO application is, I understand, currently being completed, but has not yet been submitted. Please can the Cabinet member advise how will the eligibility criteria for capital allocation grants be designed to ensure that the new and emerging foster care association is not disadvantaged, and what safeguards are in place to monitor the impact of those criteria in practice? Thank you.
Andy MacLeod.
Thank you, Chairman. I wish to ask a supplementary question. As this issue impacts and challenges, which is an important charity operating in my division and elsewhere, which works to transform the lives of disabled children and young people and their families through the power of play. My supplementary question is, can the Cabinet member please clarify how the proposed inflationary uplift and contract modifications will affect the actual cost pressures faced by providers such as Challengers, given that summer bookings and allocations already have been finalised ahead of the June 2026 implementation. How does the Council intend to mitigate any disruption or financial risk to providers during this interim period? Thank you, Chairman.
Helen.
Thank you, Chair. Some interesting questions. I'm going to start in a slightly different order here. So we were very pleased to see CARES at the Foster event tea party a couple of weeks ago. I think you were there, Chris, were you not? No. Catherine was there, and a couple of other people were there too. And so that has already been established, and they made that their soft launch that day. I can certainly look into your concerns about whether they are going to be disadvantaged or not. So I'll come back to you around that. But they already now exist, and we met the new lead officer for that as well on that day. And they've got some lovely leaflets, and I think that, you know, the foster carers at that event were very pleased. It was a wonderful event, actually, a really super event. We welcomed the new High Sheriff as well to that event. We had some fantastic food, scones and jam and everything else. It was just great. But we also talked a great deal to the foster carers and their concerns, and we also met the new foster carer champions as well, who were present as well. So if I can understand your question correctly, you just want to make sure that the new organisation is not disadvantaged in any way. I'll come back to you with that in a response. Autism-friendly schools acceleration. As far as I understand it, pins are provided and commissioned by the NHS. So you don't think that's right?
Yes,
okay.
it is.
I'm pretty sure it's NHS England. But I will raise that question with the Health and Wellbeing Board as well, and so that we make sure that we have that in line. Regarding sufficiency for papers going to the Select Committee, well, I will review the papers going to the Select Committee with what you've said in mind. And with regards to actual costs, I can hear, I think there's some conversation going, for particularly around challenges. Again, it's quite a long, detailed question that you've asked me, and I need to understand exactly what it is that you, particularly what information that you want. So if you would like to put that in an email to me, then I'll get you a proper response. Would that be all right? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies. Right. Question 15 is Catherine Powell. Sorry, the reason there's been a kerfuffle up here is that poor old Steve might have got an answer which included fostering. That's why there was a panic on this end of the world. Which he may be paid many things, but it is Steve. But it's not the fostering answer it's got on the sheet here. So there's a slight panic. This is what caused the thing. Catherine.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for his response and note that a meeting with Councillor Helen Clack, Cabinet Member, is planned. I would like to remind the Cabinet Member, however, that the amendment covers all buses and transport, not just those associated with school children and college students, and would like reassurance that this wider review is being undertaken. Thank you, Chair.
Steve, you're definitely earning your money.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Powell. We will certainly make that clear and come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. That hopefully ends the questions. So, item 13, statement by members, we have none. Item 14, report to the Cabinet. I call on the leader to present the report of the Cabinet.
Beg to move the report.
So, reports for information, I call paragraph A, paragraph B, paragraph C, paragraph D, paragraph E, paragraph F. I call paragraph G. The court decisions taken under special urgency arrangements 4th of February 26 to the 11th of May. The Cabinet recommends the County Council notes the urgent decisions taken since the last Cabinet report. The motion is that the report of the meetings Cabinet held on the 17th of March 26 and 21st of April 2026 be adopted. Is that agreed? Minutes of the Cabinet meetings. Now turn to the final item of the agenda. There have been no notification to make a statement or question on the minutes received. That concludes today's council meeting. Thank you very much, members. For those who've ordered a packed lunch, these are collected from the committee room as usual. Please, first instruction. Meeting ends. Safe journey back. Thank you.